Hi there. We looked today in class at measures of central tendency and dispersion. Looked at the vocabulary words mean, median, mode, and range, as well as looked at line plots. And so I've selected here two problems to demonstrate some of that vocabulary, number 3 and number 4 on your worksheet here. Okay, number 3, we were asked to find the mean, median, and mode, and then to explain which measure of central tendency best describes the data. Okay, at the end of that, I'm also going to add in range, even though that's not part of these first 4 problems on your worksheet. On the back, you are asked to find range on a couple of those, and so when you get to those problems, I do want to make sure that you've seen a range problem as well. Okay, so again, I'll add range in, even though it's not technically part of the problem on your worksheet. Okay, so number 3, the directions, like I said, mean, median, mode, and which one is the best measure. Okay. So, mean. Mean means that you add all of the values up, 36, 59, 47, 56, and 67, and you divide that by the number of data values you have. In this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data values, and so I'm going to be dividing that by 5. Okay, and so then when we do that, okay, we've got our 36, 59, 47, 56, and 67 divided by our 5. And you always want to make sure when you're putting it into your calculator that you're very careful that everything matches up, right? So always take the moment to double check that. Okay? And when we calculate that, we get 53 as our mean. Okay? Median. Median is the middle value, right? Now, one important thing about median, okay, when you calculate it, your numbers have to be in numerical order. These numbers are not in numerical order, so I can't yet find my middle value. I first have to rewrite these in numerical order. So we have 36, we have 47, 56, 59, and 67. Now that they're in numerical order, now I can calculate my middle values. It's not 36 or 67, it's not 47 or 59, 56 is what's in the middle. Now, if you had done this and you had worked your way to the middle and you had 2 values, you met up at 2 different values, here we only had 1 left over and so you were golden, right? But if you had ended up with 2, you're like, well, which one is it? It can't be both, and you can't just pick one. Okay, if we had had 2 values, say we had gotten to 56 and there also had been maybe a 57 in there. Okay? If you had 2 values, then you would add them together and you divide by 2. Okay, what you're doing when you do that is calculating what's the value in the middle, perfectly in the middle, perfectly in between 56 and 57, because that will be your median. Okay? But again, we don't have to do that with this particular problem because we do hit an actual middle number. Okay. And then we've got our mode. Mode is what number happens most frequently. Right, so 36, 47, 56, 59, and 67, which one of those happens most? Well, none of them do. Right? They all happen exactly one time. They are all equal. And so in this particular case, there is no mode. Okay. The final part of this problem is which of these central tendency measures is best, and that question all depends on whether or not we have an outlier, a number that's distant from the main cluster of data. Right? And as you're looking at 36, 47, 56, 59, and 67, the question is, do we have an outlier? Do we have something that's kind of the oddball of the group in terms of number value? Not in terms of actual look, for the record, right? Like we could have a decimal and a whole number, and those aren't necessarily different. Like 4 and 4.2 are still pretty close, even though one's a decimal. Right? We're talking about actual number value. And 36, 47, 56, 59, 67, they're all pretty much clustered together. We don't really have an outlier here, one that's sort of distant from the others. And since we don't have an outlier, we're going to use our mean. And that's the number 3 on your worksheet. Okay. Again, I'm going to add in one step here just so you've seen it. Again, it's not part of number 3, but you are going to have to do it on the back side of your worksheet. On the back side of the worksheet, you're asked for a range. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, the range is the distance between, the difference between, means subtract, your biggest and smallest numbers. And so in this case, my biggest number is 67, my smallest number is 36. If I do 67 minus 36, I get 31. And so my range in this case is 31. Okay, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate this one more time, primarily for one step that I want to highlight. We'll go a little quicker through the ones that I've already explained. Okay, so step 1, we need our mean. Remember, mean means that I add them all together. 30 plus 8 plus 2 plus 5 plus 6, all divided by, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers, so it's all divided by 5. Okay. Which this, when you plug it into your calculator, you have your 30 plus 2 plus 8 plus 5 plus 6, which is 51, divided by 5, and you get 10.2 as your mean. Median is the middle number, but again, you can't calculate it unless your numbers are in numerical order. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite these in numerical order. We have 2, 5, 6, 8, 30. And so the median then is what's in the middle. 6 is in the middle. Again, if there had been 2 numbers, you would have added them together and divided by 2. Okay, last one, mode is what happens most often. In this particular case, they all happen equally. They all happen one time, and so there is no mode. Which brings us to the last step, and this is why I wanted to do another one, is that idea of what's the best measure of central tendency. And in this case, our answer is going to be median. Okay? And the question, or the answer as to why, is because as you look at this data, we actually do have an outlier in this case, right? 2, 5, 6, and 8 are all kind of clustered. 30's 22 more than our next highest number, right? This is an outlier here. And because it's an outlier, we're going to use our median. Okay. And you can even kind of see why in what we've written here. Look at what the median is in this one, 6. 6 is well, literally in the middle of the data, right? But 6 is kind of right smack dab in the middle of our cluster, right? It sort of is a good representation of the majority of the data that we've produced here, right? 8, 2, 5, 6. 6 is kind of pretty average for all the data. As opposed to our mean, which actually technically is our average, but look at what our mean is. Our mean is 10.2. Okay, right now our mean is saying that the average price per pound is $10.2. Well, 4 of these values are less than that, right? The only one that's more than that value is this $30. 10.2 is not really a good representation of our total data, right? It's higher than most of it because this $30 is an outlier. Because it's so high, it kind of drags your mean high. It skews your answers. And so we don't really want to use our mean because it's not accurate. It's higher than most of our data. And so we would use our median in this case. And then again, one more time, it's not technically part of the problem, but just so you've seen it, range is the distance between the highest and lowest, which in this case our highest is 30, our lowest is 2, and 30 minus 2 is 28. And that would be our range when you get to the back side of this worksheet. And there you go.